Hello and welcome to Cleveland Classic Cinema. Tonight's movie is 1951's The Thing from Another World, directed by Christian Nyby.
That thing's alive, sir. I saw it. I shot at it. I hit it. I know it. Nothing happened. It just kept coming at me, making a noise like a cat mewing. Captain, it was awful. If you could have seen those hands and those eyes. Captain, you've got to do something about it. You've got...
Is it human or inhuman? Earthly or unearthly? Baffling questions, astounding questions that not even the world's greatest scientific minds can answer.
Gentlemen, do you realize what we've found? A being from another world, as different from us as one pole from the other. If we can only communicate with it.
See? What happened, Doctor?
In the greenhouse, I was working. I couldn't see.
Yeah.
Then a blast of cold air, and I heard Olson scream.
Come here. Get in the corner. Now hold this in front of you. Stay by the light switch.
1.9. Needles hit the top.
The trailer you just saw was a re-release version of the original. The re-release trailers are usually the original trailers with a new card on the end, and the one used here is one that you'll see in an astounding number of science fiction or horror trailers. Just a little info to kick things off. The Thing from Another World, which I'll refer to as The Thing from here on out, was based on the novella Who Goes There, written by John W. Campbell. It's been made into a movie 4 times. This version is 1972's Horror Express, the third by John Carpenter in 1982's The Thing, which was the closest adaptation in terms of fidelity to the original story, although it ignored the ability of the Thing in the short story to communicate and implant thoughts telepathically, and 2011's prequel, also entitled The Thing. The first and the latter two are without a doubt the best versions of the story committed to film, in my humble opinion, although the last one, strictly speaking, isn't based on the novella, but deals with what happened prior to the 1982 version. The version of the film you're about to see uses the novella as the basis of the story, but deviates in that the Thing, rather than being able to duplicate living organisms, is more like a vegetable-based life form, rather than being carbon-based like we are. It is intelligent, but it isn't interested in communicating. It's incredibly hostile and kills anything it comes into contact with, feeding on its blood. As Dr. Carrington says, this creature is more powerful and more intelligent than we are. He regards us as important only for his nourishment. He has the same attitude towards us that we have toward a field of cabbages. The Thing itself is a one-vegetable invasion force, carrying seed pods as part of its own body to raise what Stephen King referred to in Danse Macabre as a homegrown invasion force. Get in their way and they kill you, but smoke them and, ooh, man, the colors. The setting of the story is perfect. An Antarctic outpost is about as isolated as you can possibly get. Not only is it difficult to reach, it's equally as difficult to leave. It's pure luck that the Thing's spaceship crashed there, because if it made its way to, say, the Nile Delta, the outcome of its trip would have been very different. I've seen several reviewers call this film anti-science and pro-military, but I don't agree with that viewpoint. As this film was made soon after the Second World War, the military was held in very high regard, and the base in the story was changed from a science research outpost to one with a strong military presence. While the scientists in the film are interested in the Thing as an intelligent life form, only Dr. Carrington is obsessed with it to the point of defending it, and that's only to study and learn from it. He's so fascinated with the alien that it blinds him to the very real danger it represents. The others at the base, mostly soldiers, are more concerned with surviving than making friends with an obviously dangerous being and take every opportunity possible to kill it. I would have done the same thing. Now, there's been no little amount of speculation that Howard Hawks, the producer of this film and a very famous director in his own right, actually directed the film rather than the credited director Christian Nyby. When asked, James Arness said it was directed by Nyby, but when interviewer Mark Frank asked Kenneth Tobey the same question, Tobey replied, Howard Hawks. Technically, of course, Chris Nyby directed it and is given a screen credit for it. He was new at directing, and Mr. Hawks maintained kind of overseeage on the picture. In his excellent book, which incidentally took its title from the last words spoken in this movie, Keep Watching the Skies, Bill Warren makes a strong argument supporting this view. Nyby had worked as an editor for Hawks for a fair number of years and wanted his union card as a director. Hawks had purchased the rights to Who Goes There in the late 1940s and had planned to make a science fiction horror movie from it. However, as science fiction and horror were looked down upon by serious filmmakers, perhaps Hawks stepped a bit to the side and gave Nyby the power to call action and cut. Hawks had rehearsed the cast carefully for weeks prior to the start of the production, so all of them were very well versed in what was expected of them. In addition, Hawks was on set during the entire production, guiding Nyby when needed. In addition to that, it's full of Hawks' trademark touches, and I'm quoting Bill Warren here. The rapid-fire overlapping dialogue, the strong sense of camaraderie between men under stress, the intelligent, sardonic woman, the swift, no-frills editing, and the uncomplicated and direct photography. That is absolutely true. The women in this movie are equal to the men in many ways, although once the action starts, they're relegated to making and serving coffee. This isn't really surprising considering that the era this movie was made in, you know, at that time, at least in movies, men took action and defended the women. One thing I'm thankful for is that the women don't immediately become helpless and frozen when the action starts and begin bleeding to the men to save them. Miss Nicholson, in fact, comes up with ways to destroy the alien. Granted, the methods are derived from cooking, but at least she's smart enough to suggest what the men don't think of. The on-screen appearances of the alien are intentionally kept short, usually no more than glimpses, and this is probably a good thing as the makeup job on it is mediocre at best. It does lend the thing a real air of mystery, and the fact that it's played by 6'7" James Arness definitely gives it a threatening air. The guy is huge, and he gets the strength and power of the alien across very well. One of the scary things about it is that all of its parts are a whole unto themselves. When the thing gets an arm torn off by a sled dog, it comes back to life during an examination, suggesting that a whole new thing could grow out of the dismembered limb. That's more than a little disturbing. All right, I got to quit talking about this. I don't want to spoil the movie, and this is a movie with many surprises in it. On to the bios. Jesse Kenneth Tobey was born on March 23, 1917 in Oakland, California. He was studying law at the University of California when he got his first taste of acting in the little theater productions at the school. Enjoying the experience, he studied for a year and a half at New York's Neighborhood Playhouse along with fellow students Gregory Peck, Eli Wallach, and Tony Randall. During the 1940s, he appeared in stock and Broadway productions, making his first film appearance in the 1943 short entitled The Man on the Ferry, and went on to appear in an amazing 214 movies and television series, including a great cameo appearance in Joe Dante's underrated 1987 film Inner Space. His last film was 2005's The Naked Monster, which could be considered a fan film along the lines of The Unfortunate Lost Skeleton of Cadavra, one of those films that attempt to intentionally be so bad it's good and end up failing miserably at being good. Not to go off subject here, but I've seen a fair number of films that were made and advertised as being in the spirit of Ed Wood or some other such nonsense, and they always ended up just being bad. They try for camp, which is a highbrow term for intentional badness in a satirical manner, but invariably fail miserably, drowning in their own pretensions as they try to belittle the honest efforts of people with little talent trying their best to entertain. The best movie I've ever seen that was intentionally bad was Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, and that wasn't that good either. Kenneth Tobey died of natural causes on December 22, 2002 in Rancho Mirage, California. Robert Cornthwaite was born on April 26, 1917 in St. Helens, Oregon. After being forced into taking a one-line role in an 8th grade play, he became interested in acting and 5 years later made his first professional appearance in a production of Shakespeare's The Twelfth Night in college. He moved into radio after graduation until he was inducted into the Army Air Force in World War II, working as an intelligence officer. He appeared in 172 movies and television roles, but preferred stage work to film, once saying, "I prefer theater. It's far more liberating for the actor than film. Writers, directors, editors, and cameramen, those are the creative people in film. Actors are out of necessity farther down on the totem pole, although they don't like to think so, and many of them don't admit it. But they're relatively unimportant. They are things being manipulated by these other people. I like theater because I've got the reins in my hands, at least once the curtain goes up." He appeared as Dr. Flanken in the movie Mant, in yet another underrated Joe Dante movie, Matinee. His last role was as Dr. Carrington in the aforementioned The Naked Monster, the makers of which seem to have been big fans of tonight's movie. Robert Cornthwaite died of natural causes on July 20th, 2006 in Woodland Hills, California. James Arness was born James King Orness on May 26, 1923 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He had no interest in acting in his early life, instead wishing to go to sea. Drafted after his first semester in college, he was shipped to northern Africa and after basic training, participated in the invasion of Anzio. After being wounded by German machine gun fire in the leg and foot, he received a medical discharge. While visiting him in the hospital, his younger brother Peter, later to gain fame as actor Peter Graves, suggested he take a radio course at the University of Minnesota. He took the course and soon after landed a job as an announcer, but gave that up to move to Hollywood, hoping to break into pictures as an extra. He studied acting at the Bliss Hayden Theater, and while appearing in a play there, was discovered by agent Leon Lance. Lance secured Arness a supporting role in 1947's The Farmer's Daughter as the brother of Loretta Young, but not much came of this. He lived the life of a beach bum for a number of months until fan letters began reaching him and he decided to give acting another go. He began to get small roles with increasing frequency, often as bad guys because of his size. While appearing as a Greek warrior in a play, he was spotted by Charles K. Feldman, the agent of John Wayne, and arranged a meeting for Arness with his client. Upon meeting him, Wayne placed Arness under personal contract and mentored him in his acting career, eventually suggesting Arness for the role of Marshal Matt Dillon in Gunsmoke. He declined the role at first, feeling that being locked into a television show would hurt his movie career, but Wayne convinced him to take the role. The role made him a star, and the series ran for 20 seasons. After the series was canceled in 1975, he went into the series How the West Was Won, and then appeared in John Wayne's role in a remake of Red River in 1988. He reprised his role as Matt Dillon in several Gunsmoke TV movies and retired at the age of 71. James Arness died on June 3, 2011 in Los Angeles, California. The Thing is a really good movie, one that pretty much set the bar for science fiction / horror movies for the entire decade of the 1950s. And along with 1951's The Day the Earth Stood Still and 1956's Forbidden Planet, is remembered as one of the best science fiction movies ever made, and I will not argue with that opinion. So right now, sit back, relax, and enjoy The Thing from Another World, right here on Cleveland